sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky. What a beautiful day. The birds are singing and so am I. What a beautiful day. I'd like to keep this moment for the rest of my life, but I know there'll always be a little toil and strife. What a beautiful day, such a beautiful day.
Hi knitters, welcome to The Guilty Knitter. This is Vivian, and there's a little glimpse of my tranquil garden, and down here you'll see a little glimpse of my co-host Monty having a nice snooze. And I just wanted to add that if you are like me and you don't always get to the end of every episode, all my episodes have a little tag at the end, some photos or from my travels or videos, and you might want to check it out. And that's it, and happy knitting. Hi, I'm Vivian, and this is episode 24 of The Guilty Knitter. You can find me on Instagram as @GuiltyKnitter and on Ravelry as The Guilty Knitter, all one word. Please press like and subscribe. I can't talk. Please press like and subscribe if you enjoy this podcast, and that really gives me such a boost when people when I see the likes and I see new subscribers. Also, if you want to leave a comment, feel free. That would be lovely. I love hearing your comments, reading your comments. There is a post or a page on Ravelry for this podcast, the Guilty Knitter podcast. Just got to go over there and check it out. There won't be much going on there, but until I start a knit along, probably in the fall, I'm thinking of doing either a sticking knit along or a colorwork knit along, or kind of a combination of both. So if you have a preference or you have some other ideas, please put them in the comments below. And I'll leave all kinds of links down below in the description for things that I mentioned today. So they'll all be there, hopefully. Today is a beautiful day in Montreal. It's 22 degrees and sunny, gorgeous day. And here I am inside recording a podcast. It seems almost like a bad idea, but it is a good idea because I love doing it. And I did promise a podcast more or less every 2 weeks, and I'm trying to live up to that. And now, there's a bird up my bird feeder. 2 birds. It looks so pretty out there. You probably saw in the intro my garden and how I do love my garden, the tranquil garden. I actually have a blog of all about my tranquil garden and all about all kinds of other things, which I also will leave in the links below. So yeah, yesterday I was out in the garden quite a lot, and it was so nice because all of a sudden it's not too hot for me to be in there. So I actually managed a few hours working on getting rid of a major weed problem I have. It's just this thing called soapwort. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It actually looks a lot like, the flowers look like phlox, like they come in those kind of bunches, like the way phlox does. And at first that's what I thought it was, like a type of phlox. And I thought, well, that's nice, I'll just leave it. It's like a tall plant with these white or pinkish white flowers. And, but I left it, this was maybe 3 years ago that I noticed it. And now it is just taken over this whole part of the yard, which I don't really pay that much attention to because it's kind of outside of the cedar hedge, and it's in an area that I don't really, I let it go a little wild. There's a lot of mint there. There's some daylilies, that kind of thing that you don't have to worry about too much. But this thing is even combating my mint and my daylilies. Can you imagine? So, mint is a real spreader, but it's not doing very well. It's not competing with this thing. So I had to cut off all the flowers so that they wouldn't spread their seeds. That's kind of supposed to help a little bit. Plus, it also goes by underground root. division and extension. So I'm just worried it's going to make its way under the hedge and then it'll be in my garden proper. So I had to deal with it. I started to deal with it, but what I need is my husband to get in there with his digging prowess and really go for it, because the weeds are really hard to dig out. I mean, the roots are really hard to dig out. So my plan is to keep at it so that the other things can have a fighting chance to come back. I actually like my mint there, because even though it's, people are worry about mint being invasive, but I like to use the mint for tea. I dry it and it makes really good tea. So I kind of let it go a little bit wild there, but it's not as wild as this stuff. It's not as invasive. So anyway, so that was what I did yesterday, and I did a few other chores, cut off some brown things. Because it's been so hot that things are not doing so well, so I cut off some dead bits here and there, and it looks a little bit better today, so that's always nice. So today I have a couple of things. This is going to be kind of a short episode, because all I want to do is tell you about how I found the giveaway winner, or she found me, Marianne Schramm. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not, but anyway, she, unbeknownst to me, she had written to me shortly after I published the last podcast, I guess it was. Yeah. And I didn't get the message right away. It was on Instagram, and somehow, I guess because it was a message request, it just didn't, I didn't notice it. So I finally noticed it yesterday, and yesterday or the day before, and told her, sorry about that, and I apologized. And I was just really glad that I hadn't gone ahead and picked another winner, because I thought she hadn't gotten in touch with me. So anyway, I hadn't gotten that far, so I'm glad, and I'll send that off to Marianne in hopefully today, if not tomorrow. And I'm really happy that worked out. Thanks, Marianne, for watching, and I hope you enjoy your yarn and your mug. I actually think I might put in another couple of skeins that I have. They're kind of odd skeins that I don't know that I'll ever use. I mean, you might not like them, but you might like them. So I thought I would just throw them in. So that's it for now for that. I will do another giveaway, I think, for after the knit along. I'll pick a winner of the knit along, I guess, in the fall. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to do these things, but I hope you'll do the knit along just for the fun of it, and not for whatever it is I might give you, because it's not going to be a huge thing, but a little token, It'll be fun to do something together. And so, aside from that, the giveaway, I have to talk to you about my current whip, which is the only thing that I'm thinking about right now in terms of knitting, which is my Sanctuary tee. And look how pretty it is. Isn't that nice? It looks kind of huge, but it actually fits. Look, see? I tried it on, and I'm really happy with it. It looked really nice when I tried it on. I put the sleeves, as you can see, I split for the sleeves, so they're on waist yarn right now. And I'm just doing the body, just trucking along, doing the body. I'm over an inch now from the bottom of the sleeve side. Is that what you call it? I'm never quite sure how to pronounce that word. This sleeve hole, armhole. So yeah, I only have about 9 inches more to go. It's gonna be fine. I'm really enjoying the knitting. So the fact that there's a lot of stitches on the needles isn't really bothering me that much. Up here where there was the maximum number, that was really slow, but now that I'm down to a kind of manageable number in the body, I think it's going to be fine. And there's no more shaping involved, so it just goes straight down. So that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to getting this done. But on the other hand, I can feel my mojo ebbing a little bit. I will need a break pretty soon, and one reason is that I'm having some pain in my wrist. I put some of that topical pain reliever stuff on my wrist last night, and it feels a bit better today. But I really have to be careful with these long rows. I should be taking breaks like 2 or 3 times around the row. I don't know, I'm not one of these people that can just knit without feeling it. So I do have to be careful. So I'm gonna change it up. As soon as I get the yarn, I'm gonna cast on for the Avery sweater, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But in the meantime, I really want to talk to you about this beautiful piece of work right here and things that I've learned along the way. First of all, can you just look at that neckline? Isn't that a beautiful and elegant start to it? It's so it kind of acts as almost like a ribbing. As you can see, there's these little mini beehive shapes, and in between are some purl stitches, so they create this great edging for the neck, and it lies really flat. And then they just get a little bit bigger until they reach their maximum size, and that's how you do the increases. They're just such an elegant design. It makes me very happy. Great job, Stephanie. I'm sure she's not watching this, but I know Stephanie because she's a local designer. She's a terrific gal. She does so many beautiful things. And this is my first one I'm actually knitting of hers. I've looked at a lot of them and liked them, but many of them didn't. I wasn't sure they would suit my body, and that's why I've hesitated to knit them. But they've all looked like really interesting patterns, so I'm pretty happy that I'm finally doing one of her patterns. Okay, so one of the things that was a bit of a challenge was doing, I think I talked to you a little bit about this last time, but I'm just going to repeat myself a little bit. But doing the swatch and trying to check the gauge was tricky. I brought it over to Espace Tricot to get a second opinion on it, and I think it was Chloe. She thought that I was pretty much on gauge, and I kind of thought so too, but I wasn't sure. So I thought I'd get that opinion. She thought it was okay, but she agreed that it's a bit hard to tell because of the beehive pattern. So I just went with it. I'm using the needle that Stephanie uses, or she recommends, which is 3.5 millimeter, and that is a US. Is it a 4? I don't know. Can't remember. Do I have my glasses on? No, that doesn't help. 3.5 millimeter, yeah, US 4, and they are my Haya sharps, which are really handy. I really like using the sharps. Actually, one of them is a sharp and the other one is a normal one. I don't know what happened. These interchangeable needles, they still get like all mixed up in my bags, and even though I have a really nice needle case now made for me by my friend, they still get a little bit messed up. But anyway, I've got it and it's very helpful. What I think I might do is switch them around, because that would be probably better for me. I think I'll do that right now. So anyway, so basically what I'm saying is that when you do your swatch, you might find that you're not quite sure whether you're on gauge. You're just going to have to kind of wing it and see how it goes. But it does help to have an idea so you can pick the right size. Yeah, I decided to go with, I forget what size I'm in, like the third size, I think, whatever that is. And I think it's fine. The only thing is that my row gauge was off by it could be up to 6 rows per 4 inches, because I think at one point anyway, I had figured it out as 36 rows instead of 29. So that's huge. That's like a 7 row difference. Again, I tried it out 1 or 2 other times and I got a bit different, a little bit lower, like 35 or whatever. But at any rate, it's definitely tighter than what the pattern suggests. So what I did when I got to it really only matters when you go to split for the sleeves, because that's where you know, she tells you in the pattern exactly where to split for the sleeves. And I just thought, I was a little worried that there wouldn't be enough room for my arm, or like, you know, the distance here wouldn't be quite right. So I did 10 more rows. So instead of stopping at row, the top of my head's a little bit cut off, isn't it? So instead of stopping at row 46 of the pattern, of the chart, I stopped at row 56, and that seems to be just fine. It looks great. It worked out just great. So if you have the same issue as me, I can assure you that it works very well to switch to, you know, to add those 10 rows. There's only a couple of, like, that's the thing, like, because of this beehive, you really only want to do something like that where you have where you're only doing knits and purls. Gosh darn it. So yeah, you only want to do anything fancy when you're at that spot between the kind of in the middle of the pattern, where you're just maintaining a stitch count and not doing yarn overs or anything fancy. So yeah, that's what I decided to do, and I think that was quite right. So I made a mistake. I made several mistakes. Somewhere in the middle of my yoke, I realized I had made a ton of those dumb yarn over mistakes. So I ended up having to frog a good 1.5 inches or more. And it turned out, like, I was scared to frog at first, but then I realized, well, if I frog back to that spot where there's just purls and knits, I should be able to pick them up, no problem. And that's what I did. And it worked really well. So if you have that issue, just make sure you go back to that middle spot. Anyway, so, hold on a minute. Okay, my neighbor dropped her dog off to be babysat. Little Rosie. So I have two little dogs to look after today. So, okay, where was I? Yeah, so I got back on track, but of course that set me back. So I've been working on this pattern for a good month, and it has really been, yeah, it's a bit long to get only this much done, I suppose, but it's a lot of stitches, so I don't feel so bad. Anyway, I'm going to insert in here a little video that I took showing how I fix the yarn overs, you know, when I omit a yarn over that I should have done, I have figured out a way of fixing that, so I just thought I would throw it in, and if it helps somebody, then great. Okay, so one of the typical mistakes I make when I'm knitting this lace is forgetting a yarn over, and that ends up meaning that I have fewer stitches on my needles a couple of rows later when I realized I've made my mistake. So I thought, well, since I have to fix this mistake anyway, I would record it and see whether it comes out, and I'll put it in my podcast. So I'm missing a stitch right here in between this purl stitch and this knit stitch. So what I have to do is go down. It went not this last row, but the second to last row is where I screwed up. So I'm going to put this on the needle like that, right? Which is the right way. But because I have to actually knit it through the back loop, this yarn over, I'm creating a yarn over two rows back, right? So put that up. Then I'm going to catch it with my needle through the back loop so that I'm twisting it. This is how I do it. I mean, there's probably an easier way. I hardly ever use a crochet hook. I don't know why, but I never caught on to that somehow. So I only use it in desperate circumstances. So anyway, I put it back on my needle. Make sure, okay, I'm twisting it. I've got it twisted, as you can see. I think you can see. Now, there's a running stitch across here, not there, here, that I have to pick up, and that's what I have to knit it with. Okay, so what I do is I get that running stitch on my needle as well. See that? Then I just take this yarn and pull it over that running stitch, which should do the trick. So now I have created that extra stitch. Yep, it worked. And I'm going to knit it. And I'm back on track. I've got my 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 3 knit stitches, my yarn over. I'm going to create a yarn over, not going to forget. And then purl and continue along. So that's what I'm doing. So that's it. I hope that made sense to you. I'm going to see. Oh, my. Okay. See you soon. Bye-bye. Happy knitting. Okay, so that's what else. What else is interesting about this pattern? Anyway, I tried it on after I did the sleeve separation and a couple of rows underneath the armhole side, and it works perfectly well. It seems to fit really nicely. It might be a little bit loose, but I don't think it matters. I mean, actually, when you put it on, it almost looks like the sleeve is almost done, as you can see. Like it's basically a cap sleeve at this point. And you could, I think I could, if I decide to do it that way, I could just add go straight to the what am I saying? The ribbing. I could go straight to the ribbing instead of doing any more. I mean, it depends on what I want, but I'm just thinking that I'm not sure how I'm gonna like sleeves that go to there. I find that can look a little dowdy, that in between length, for me anyway. Maybe because I'm a middle-aged woman. It's easy to look dowdy. That sounds terrible. What am I saying? We're such a wonderful bunch of people, us middle-aged women. Here I am tearing us down. Shame on me. So yeah, but it can be, it's a style thing. It's whatever you choose, whatever you think looks good. So yeah, that's about it. Oh, so that's about it for this. If I need a break, and that's very possible. Oh my God, I'm doing super badly here. I can't seem to focus for today at all. And yesterday I did this whole podcast exactly, and it was just as bad. I was just not focused and all over the dang map. So I have to apologize, because this one is going in the can. I don't care how weird and unfocused it is. Oh my God. Anyway. But, so I'm finished talking about this, but I accepted to say that, yes, I'm probably going to need a little break from it, despite the fact that I was dying to get it done so I could wear it before it gets cold. Sometimes you just need a break from a project. So what I was thinking of doing is joining in on the knit-along that Julie Asselin is running on Ravelry. It's called Le Mini knit-along. And it's 3 children's sweaters that were designed using her yarn. I believe they were designed, I think that's the whole point. The Avery sweater is the one I'm doing, and that's by Verona Knits. And I showed it to you last time, but I'll just refresh your memory. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna find it. Here it is. Beautiful little sweater. So I have this yarn here in my stash, and I've already used it for a large, it's called Debbie Bliss Merino DK. And I'm telling, upside down, sorry. Debbie Bliss Merino DK. It's a superwash yarn, so it's perfect for a kid's sweater. I had this in my stash, so, and they don't mind. Julie Asselin says you can use any yarn you want. So I'm gonna use this, but I need 2 other yarns to match it. So I probably go over to Espace Tricot and check it out. I couldn't find anything in my stash that would work. I don't have that many DKs in my stash, actually. Surprising, because I like that weight. I have mostly fingering weight yarns. I guess I just really am attracted to it. I mean, it's so versatile. Fingering weight yarn is so versatile. It's not a surprise that that I'm attracted to it, I suppose. But anyway, I have tons of that, but not as much DK. So I guess I'll go over to Espace Tricot and find 2 yarns that work with this. Yeah, I made a sweater for myself with this. I made a sweater for another, a great nephew of mine. This one is I'm making for my newest great niece. Her name is Lila, I think. Got that right? Yes, Lila. And I just met Lila a couple weeks ago, and she's super cute. Yeah, and anyway, so this is, I'm doing the second size because I figured, well, whatever size she is, I don't want it to fit her just for a week, you know, I want it to fit for a while, so I'll do the second size up. And so I'm going to do that. I think that knit along is maybe starting even today. I don't know exactly. It's starting right around now. And since I was planning on knitting this sweater anyway, I thought it would be a good opportunity to be encouraged and maybe ask some questions if I run into difficulties. So yeah, I've never done intarsia before, so that's the main reason I'm interested in doing this pattern. I mean, it is a cute pattern, obviously, but it's that technique I've never done that is really attractive to me. And the other 2, if you're interested in this knit along, I'll just show you the other 2. Hold on a minute. Where is it? Where is it? Julie Aslan. Here it is. The mini knit along. Show you the other patterns that are in the knit along that you can choose from. One is a nice sort of a yoked pattern, colorwork pattern. I think it's called, what is it called? Akim by Stephanie Voyer. So I guess she's a local designer as well, I would imagine. And another, this is by Stephanie Earp, and it's called the Little Peregrina. Sorry, Little Peregrina by Stephanie Earp. And that's my, the same designer as my Sanctuary tee. And my gosh, she has a cute daughter modeling that. They're all beautiful little kids, honestly. They don't get cuter than that, I don't think. So I'm kind of excited to try that, to get that done. I mean, the baby is, how old is she now? She's a couple months old now. So I think by the cold weather, when the cold weather comes, she'll be ready to wear one of my sweaters, hopefully. I mean, the sweater that I'm making. Anyway, so that's my plan, and I think beyond that, I don't really have a lot to share with you. Yeah, the only one other thing is that you know what I was going to show you? That I was comparing some yarn to see if anything in my stash would work with this. Sadly, I didn't really find anything that worked color-wise and weight-wise. But it reminded me that I made myself a little gizmo here. This is super easy to make. This is an old pan that doesn't work anymore. And I just put some electrical tape here and measured 1 inch right there in between so that I could wrap my yarn. Let's say you have some yarn at home that you don't know what it is. You can just make one of these, and at least you know the wraps per inch. And if you go on Ravelry and check the different yarns, you'll see that they always show you the wraps per inch. So at least you can kind of, you can look at them, you can compare, okay, is this the right yarn for that pattern? I don't know what it is, but it's got, you know, whatever, 16, no, this one has something like, I think it's 14 or 13 wraps per inch. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, is that it? 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. So this has got 12 wraps per inch, which is about a DK, which is good because that's what, although the yarn that Julie Aslan's Lizu DK says 11 wraps per inch, but I think DK is, roughly 11 to 12. So yeah, that's a little handy thing. And I use it fairly frequently. I mean, actually no, I don't use it frequently, but when I do need it, it's nice to have. So I try to keep it in the thing where I keep all my pencils and stuff, and then I never gets lost. So that's a little hint, a little helpful hint. So that's about it, I think. I hope I didn't forget anything that I wanted to tell you. I did watch the Fleece and Harmony latest podcast, and that made me laugh. I told you last time that they remind me of the grocery girls, like they're the East Coast grocery girls. And it's true, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, they're both Canadian. They're all Canadian, the four of them. One is blonde, one is brunette. They work together, which they do. The grocery girls work at the same grocery store together. And these women in PEI, Prince Edward Island, have a farm together with their husbands, and they live on the same farm. So they live together, and they get along like a house on fire, and they make each other laugh, and it's a lot of fun to watch them. And one of them, whose name I forget, maybe it's Jennifer? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, the blonde one. She was starting to knit the Birds of a Feather, and it came up in the conversation that her husband was joking about how it kind of looks like a bikini at the beginning. Like, you start it and it makes this funny shape. And I remember going through the same thing when I knitted it, except for me it just looked like a G-string. I guess my mind is more in the gutter than hers. But and Dave, my husband, laughed about it for ages. It just, as soon as it kept getting bigger and bigger, but it's still had the same shape. So he was like, it looks like an elephant's G-string. Anyway, funny, eh? So eventually it stops looking like that, but it does take a while. It's a kind of a funny elongated shape. Anyway. It's a great pattern, and I enjoyed it, but it ended up being way too big because my gauge was off. I'm a loose knitter, and it just turned out huge. That's my only problem with it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful shawl. Recommend it, Andrea Mowry. Yeah, so that was fun. So definitely check out Fleece and Harmony. And what else am I watching or listening to? I'm listening to Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. That's really enjoying that on Audible. And I also been watching the Great British Baking Show. That's what I was watching last night when I started making all kinds of mistakes in my knitting. Because you gotta watch you have to keep an eye on what they're doing on the screen, right? Looking at the beautiful things they're making. Anyway, I watched the end of the 4th season last night. Anybody else watching that show? Okay, well, I will leave it there. I think this is long enough for a short episode. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Happy knitting! That squirrel is really trying hard. He's doing his best. But that's a real squirrel-proof bird feeder. He's having a look around, thinking maybe I have another option. No, I don't think you do, pal. Good luck with that. He's given up. Yay.